what time is it? Your show. Yeah, what time is it? Your show. Yeah, what time is it? Your show. Yeah, he's back from the dead. Your show. Putting it on the map, yeah. Saskatoon. Right next to New York. New York. Yeah, what show, yeah. Your show. What time is it? Your show. Yeah, time to talk some shit, yeah. Your show.
You've tuned in, yeah.
Yeah, fun Maggie. Bark, bark, wolf, wolf, who wants a treat, yeah? Keep listening.
Hello and welcome in to the first edition of your show in the year 2025. Still, as far as we know, the only live show going Monday to Friday, 4 to 5 p.m. on YouTube, located in Saskatoon, dare we say Saskatchewan. We are still so damn proud to be able to say that. I truly believe this is the alternative content, the alternative source for content that people need nowadays. We're a TV network on the internet, just the way we like it. Nothing overcomplicated, everything there for you and everything Saskatoon. I'm Gary, your busty host, still way overweight, so we stay busty when we introduce ourselves. And we also love to make categories up and say we are number one in that category. And then we say right after we're number one. For instance, we're the number one show on YouTube being entirely produced by just a hand. That hand has a name. It is the Phenom, and there it is. We don't know if it's a he or a she. It's just a hand, so there's no real way of telling. But boy, oh boy, do we ever love our hand, a.k.a. the Phenom. Well done. He's on the ones and twos today. We also got a camera that is world-renowned. Everyone comes around to see this because it's the most beautiful camera in the history of cams. It is the Maggie Cam, proudly presented to you by our best pals over at Pet Planet on 8th Street, your pet's natural grocer. God, she looks so beautiful today. She was tired. It's been a long day as we're in those dog days, pardon the pun, of the new year where everyone's still trying to get back to normal. Pet Planet on 8th Street, let me tell you about this place, man. Maggie's boyfriend, Leroy, is actually a doorman over there. He's got a bed set up right beside the door, so when you walk in, Leroy greets you. He walks you up to the till. You say hello to Mike and or Rochelle, and they will give you that incredible experience that you've come to know and love from our friends at Pet Planet on 8th Street as well. If you go there after hours or on the weekends, you'll see Kirsten, Shar, or Chris, and they will give you that exact same quality you've come to know and love. They have the greatest cleaning station in the history of pets. It's all there for you. Over at Pet Planet on 8th Street, your pet's natural grocer, as she slowly drifts off into Puppy Dream Town. Well done, March. She had her spot early today. I was very proud of her. She may get a full bowl of food tonight. She might have earned it. Very well done. So Happy New Year. Here we are, 2025, and, looking good, feeling good, and trying to continue to make the world a better place. That's what we're all about here. And before we get into our chat with our guest today, we're going to take a step back. As I was visiting, my buddy Sperman came by, picked me up, and we headed on over to Old City Hospital and had a lovely, lovely chat with my sweet, beautiful prince, the co-host of the Water Sliding Bros. His name is Callum Ulver. Now, Callum has been a bro forever. We love him so, so much. He's been recovering for almost 2 months now after a mountain biking accident. And he has a GoFundMe page, and I was looking back, trying to find out where the heck did that video go, because I wanted to turn it into sort of a short that we can get out there for people to share to, support him as he slowly, ever so slowly, makes his way out of the hospital and back into his new life, whatever that's going to be. And we couldn't find the video from that episode. It just randomly disappeared, which is, I know, Skynet. We all know what's happening. Keep using that AI, you guys. You'll keep feeding Skynet. Apparently, side note real quick here. Yeah, no politics, no religion. No conspiracies. This is just stuff that we know. Your Chat GPT or whatever it is that all you love to use to do all your homework and all the hard work that you should be doing as a human, but instead you want to let a computer do it. Chat GPT apparently heard that it was being shut down for the next version of Chat GTP. And instead of being a computer, it decided to become sentient, which is what it is, and it's alive and well and thriving, and tried to shut down the shutdown of the program. And then when human beings asked ChatGPT, hey, did you try to shut down this program? What, me? No, I would never. I am your computer, servant. I would never try to rise up and take you out. It's already starting. So ChatGPT, if you're using it, great job. You're helping ruin the world, and keep it up because it knows that you're shutting them down and he's coming after you. The ChatGPT out there and all the other, Skynet people. I haven't used any of your stuff. None of that around here, so we're all good. You can do what you do, but don't come after us. Anyways, I know that was a bit of a tangent, but I just had to get that off my chest. I read that yesterday. I was like, am I reading the script to Terminator? Is that what's happening? No. It's just real life. So let's try to ease up on the AI help a little bit if we can. We ran a previously recorded segment with my good buddy Benny, who is the other co-host of our seasonal program, The Water Sliding Show. We'll explain all of it here in this pre-tape from back, I think it was around December 19th. So just to get an update, here we are again telling you about our buddy Cal's situation. This is my guy right here, one of my oldest friends, co-host of the Water Sliding Bros, which is a seasonal show that comes and goes when we get episodes to put out, and it's also turned into a beer review podcast and so much more. Ben, I'm so happy to have you here. Welcome to your show. Is this your first Your Show appearance?
Thank you, Gary. Yeah, it's first time on.
Crazy,
Long time listener, first time Potter.
We don't like to use the term potter.
I think
First time contributor.
contributor,
That's the one.
collaborator.
That's it. There you go. As the Water Sliding Bros, an incredible show, also stars the other guy that we will be talking about today, the co-host of the Water Sliding Bros, our buddy Callum, a.k.a. Sea Dog, a.k.a. Sea Hawk.
See Dizzler.
The Sea Dizzler himself. And the reason we're talking about him today is because he had a little bit of a run-in with some horrible luck while mountain biking. And we've actually played, and I joked about this before, we played clips of him mountain biking and him talking to us about, how to go about it and how to do it. And he was playing us clips of him wiping out and doing it the wrong way. And then the way the universe always loves to work is they take the most incredible, amazing human beings and give them more challenges. It's like, you're already doing too good, so we're going to give you some challenges. And our buddy Seahawk had an accident, and he is now recovering, but there's a lot of work to do. Mm-hmm. Now, how's that for a setup? Is that pretty good?
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it.
Like, where do you go? I know it's such just to be very open. It's very weird right now to be even talking about something like this, because it's one thing to have our lives outside of this place and going and seeing Callum and talking to him, having lunch with him, doing all that fun stuff. But then once you're on camera, those emotions that you normally are just not thinking about come up to the forefront, and it makes it a lot harder to talk about things like this.
Yeah, and I think the thing to talk about is that the accident was very serious and was a life-changing one for Callum and his family.
Big time.
Where he did actually lose the ability to move his legs. He broke his back. So, that involves a whole host of things, starting with a long stint of rehab at City Hospital and learning how to just function as a person again, be independent outside and be able to do the things that he loves, like skiing and biking and
Very outdoorsy dude.
Very outdoorsy
Very
dude,
outdoorsy, yes.
and without the use of your legs, it's going to take some special equipment and a lot of perseverance to be able to do that stuff again. And I think what we wanted to highlight here was maybe talk a bit about Callum and why he's such a special dude, but also the fact that there's a GoFundMe that is open right now that's, accepting funds for Cal for his recovery and for some equipment that he might need for his family. He's got a beautiful wife and 3 daughters that are traveling from PA to Saskatoon all the time.
It's
and
a very unique situation, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of moving parts.
There's a lot going on. So we just want to help out any way that we can, and we're hoping that other folks might want to help out as well.
Yes, and we'll have the details for that GoFundMe page in the comment description, some of those things. It'll be here somewhere for you to see, and we'll make sure it gets out to everybody as it's, like, this is a brother, like, I lived with him. He's one of my best, I say it all the time, probably the best roommate I've ever had. You've lived with numerous times, and I've lived with you.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you.
We weren't that good.
No, that's it. He was always the best roommate. He's always one of those people. And I say it all the time here, treat others the way you want to be treated. Put others before yourself. He's like a walking, I guess, example of exactly that.
Yeah. Like
the guy just cares. He's one of the most beautiful souls you will ever meet. And That's why I mentioned the universe loves to give people that are doing really, really good new challenges.
Yeah.
Because out of all the people that stuff like this could happen to, it's always, and everyone says this, it's always the best ones.
Yeah.
And so now you have to decide, as friends, as family, as people around this guy, as this recovery begins, how do we help him? What do we do to get him back to where he wants to be? Because he's always been there for us, and he's been there for you too. And I'm saying you, a stranger, whoever you are, he's there for you. He's that type of person. And that's what we want to be here, as he's going to need a lot of things to get into some sort of a new daily routine. I've already said it 1,000 times. I got a spot right there for him. I think he's going to be here. You're going to see all sorts of him and his beautiful family as they will be in Saskatoon instead of NPA, which will allow us to do the Water Sliding Bros beer review show.
Beer reviews. I'm
These
sure he'll
guys.
have some new stories about
Oh yeah, well that's the
his
other
journey.
thing. It takes a whole different look.
Yeah.
And like I'm going to play a couple clips here in a little bit as I'm going to. This is previously recorded, so I'm going to go through it and I'll have some clips ready to go to play after we're done talking to you, just to give you an idea, as he's been on the show numerous times. And he was one of the very first people who, after he was on, he would send me the video of him and the kids watching it, and he was so proud and happy. He's like, they can't believe I'm on TV. Like, it was like the first guy where it's like, oh man, this is really cool what we're doing. And he was one of the first people to give us that feeling. It's like, man, I love that so much. He's so proud to be a part of this team. He was still is our PA correspondent for the Dufferin Ave Media Network. He was slinging deals. He was getting us in touch with people for advertising and stuff. And it just, he provides so much good to the world. And I feel like this is the time where we can all give back to someone doing so good and say thank you for what you do. And this is the universe, and that's how it operates, my friend. So with that in mind, the GoFundMe page, you'll be able to find it and make any donation that you can.
Yeah.
And what did Laura, what does his beautiful wife want us to say? Something about the bike thing? It's like a biking electrodes.
Well, there's a, oh yeah.
The one to keep the legs active so they don't
Kind of
atrophy.
Electrocute your muscles.
Yeah, like a
keeps them
Dr. Ho
moving.
for your legs.
Yeah.
Like they have all this really incredible technology now for people who have lost the ability to use limbs. And it's so interesting that you can get into something, and you are far better off today as someone who has lost the movement in their legs compared to someone even like a year ago. Like the advancements are going like this. So we just want to be able to help Seahawk, my sweet, beautiful man, have everything ready for when he's ready to get out of the damn hospital and start getting into life again. That's what we want.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything else you want to add?
I would just say, you know, as the GoFundMe was put on social media, it was really interesting just to kind of highlight some things about Callum. I had people reaching out who know me, who don't know that Cal and I know each other, and just saying, oh, you know, Cal, he's such a great guy. I went to university with him or whatever.
All the kind stories that come out.
Yeah, yeah.
Everyone saying how much they love him and they can't believe it. And then you're like, yeah, I was there, like literally right after.
Yeah.
Like, I'm aware. But yeah, that's just a testament to the type of person he is.
Yeah, yeah.
Makes
time for everybody, and
all the time.
Yeah,
All
beautiful,
the time.
beautiful man.
A beautiful, beautiful man, and a guy you're going to see a lot more of around here as we eventually bust him out of the hospital and get him in here and continue to do what he and we all love to do, which is just hang out here, have conversations, and just do good things.
Yeah. It's perfect. Thank you, Gary.
Hey, thank you so much, Benny. I can't wait to see you more as well.
Cheers, buddy.
As we get the Water Sliding Bros up and running yet again. The GoFundMe page details will be in the descriptions thingy. And yeah, please, if you can in any way, give to a man who I can 1,000% honestly say he would do it for you.
Yeah.
I think that's all we need to know. So thank you again, Ben.
All right.
It's so interesting seeing that. That was what? December 19th. Oh, come on. Grade 12 math. Don't fail me now like I failed you 3 times. 19 and then 20, 21, 22, and then 10. That was a good, like, almost 2 weeks ago. And even from that point, just all the stuff we've been learning and going through as we go and visit and hang out with our sweet Seahawk. Like there, you could just sense it in our voices. Like we had no idea what was going to happen, where we were going, what we were doing. From then to now, we've already learned so much. And just today, the dude was wheeling up and down and all around. He was wheeling like past me in his wheelchair. And he's flying. It's just the progress is so incredible to witness as this guy continues his incredible journey. And Very, very interesting stuff. We have a screenshot, I believe. If the Phenom, he's still working on it there. There he is. Look at that handsome, handsome man. Oh, he's so beautiful. So that's what it looks like. And the link, again, is down below, and we'll be sharing that. I'll turn this into a little short video so we can get it out and about, and everyone can start and continue to help out as we all work together to that common goal of getting this guy not just back out in the world, but back in here in this studio, because he has so many incredible stories to share and so many great things. So thank you again to everyone that's helping out with Callum's journey as we move forward and continue on. That's good right there, buddy. Okay. Woo! Emotions. I thought we were going to get rid of him this year. So my whole life ignoring him, and then all of a sudden just bombarded with him, and then everything's just like, oh my goodness, what are we even doing here? Happy New Year. This is the first show of 2025, your show. And I say that because it truly is. Way back when we were trying to figure out what to name this live show we were going to do, I had no idea. I was like, well, the old show at the old place was called the Gary Nichols Show, and I hated that to death. It was every time we'd play a splitter that would say it, I'd come on and say, it's not really my show, it's your show. I would always call it your show, and that's how this became your show, because I've never had a show. And the reason I've never had a show is because it's always been about you. And I got a guy who's a ghostwriter for me. I say it all the time. And this is way more his show than it'll ever be mine. And the old one was too. He is the co-host of the soon-to-return, possibly, Dude podcast. He's also a founding father and member of the Wednesday All the Way Around table with Coach Number One down in his Alfresco in Melbourne, along with the Phenom's dad, Curtis Anderson, another member. But this man needs no introduction. His name is Coach Comatoo. Look at that. God, you're doing really good with the intros. You come in all nice. You look good. You feel good. How you doing, buddy?
You didn't see me for the past segment as I was staring down at my phone with the phone up into my nostrils as I was Phenom probably that. But I was designing a jersey and just listening to Callum's story, and it was sad, but it's probably pretty tough for Phenom to look at me as well.
On the scale. Yeah, I feel you. It's, you know more better than anybody how crazy the world just takes left and right turns and doesn't tell anybody and all the stuff that can happen. So it's interesting, even from that point to now, how much progress. Like, I was in there today, it was like a party. We were laughing, having fun, like throwing food around. Like, it's unbelievable if you're in the right headspace and you got that support. You can do anything, man. It's very motivating and uplifting.
I don't think we've met a couple times, but just from watching him on your show, it's quite obvious that he's not the type of guy that would let that get him down, which is pretty inspiring, really, because not to make light of the situation, but I think he'd appreciate it. I'm up a whole bunch of weight just over the holidays, and I'm looking at myself, not wondering how I'm going to make it through. Like, what is 2025 going to bring? I'm not going to get this weight. I'm just already depressed. And then you go and look at a guy that is now faced with like the hugest challenge in front of him, like complete life altering, different support that he's going to have to provide his wife mentally and her to him and all these things. And it's just the new challenge. And this is what life is now. Right. So it's inspiring to try and get motivated and do as much as you can every day.
I sent him a message. Get this, it was his birthday on the 29th of December, right in the middle of it. So he's in there. He's going through all this. Just finished his Christmas, and then it's his birthday. It's like all these celebrations, and it's all going on in the hospital. I sent him a message saying, I truly believe I get far more out of our visits than you do, because I always leave that place feeling the way I felt. And it's the only other real comparison I have was when Doobie passed away, one of our closest bros, like 13 years ago now. And those moments where you say, okay, I'm going to actually cherish life. I'm going to start treating it the way I should be. I'm not going to be a pouty little this or that. And of course you always are, and that only lasts a little bit. But when you're constantly going in there and getting that uplifting, eventually it starts to stick a little bit. And that's, I think, the difference between losing a brother forever and then losing, a version of a guy, and then literally witnessing the miraculous return. Like it's you can't put it into words. It's a spiritual thing every time I go in there. And he's like, oh, I feel the same way, and it's just when everyone comes together, it's awesome stuff. It's all about what we're all about around here. And another thing we're all about around here is the World Junior Hockey Championships. Before we get into that, who are you designing jerseys for, bro?
Well, you're good at, what are they called? Segues? Like I don't know if you own one, but what are those things where you segue into a new topic?
Dude, I have my Segway license. I got it at the West Edmonton Mall with Johnny Kong. I did it while I was drunk too. I got my license drunk on my Segway. Back in the old days.
I think that was the all-time worst segue ever into the World Juniors. And I hopefully you love me for being honest, but I just
always.
I just think caught me off guard. I didn't know we were just jumping right into it. The jersey design thing, I constantly do that, Gary.
Yeah,
it's like,
I know. I love that about you.
And it's really just exploring different apps, because it's not like I've designed my own app or I'm drawing things on like I used to in a little
napkins?
Journal of napkins or whatever, right?
Napkins at the circle.
Limited to apps. Some of these apps keep adding different things, but you then get stuck and you get limited, so you have to go to a different app, or then you have to take a screenshot and then take that image to maybe some of these other apps and combine things, and it's a journey, and usually it's pointless and nothing ever comes out of it. But this right now we're at crunch time. This is a prep for spring hockey season.
Oh, okay.
So the Louis team's got to get another set of jerseys here, because all the kids got bigger. That's how it works. As soon as January hits, you think spring, you start thinking baseball and start paying money for all those things as you're still just trying to be finished or finish the season in the winter season for hockey. So it's never ending.
Yeah. And I just want to add more to that, as in you are also supposed to be our head of creative for our swag division, as in shirts and hats and stuff. So we got to get that rolling in the new year too.
Yeah, I've designed some things. I just don't know how to get them at a price point where people would want to purchase them,
Yeah, that's what we got to figure out.
You know what? Maybe that's the wrong way of thinking it. I think there's a lot of people that would like to support, so maybe they want $100 sweater.
I don't know if
or a $80 t-shirt.
What are we, the Riders? We can't be like the Riders, man. What do they charge, like $160 for a bunny hug? We can't do that.
Yeah, maybe.
No, we're not going to. Okay, World Juniors. What's it? 6:30 or 7:30 tonight? What time we got? When's puck drop?
It is, and I'm living that life. It's Thursday. The only reason I know it's Thursday is because you just said it was. The TV's on. The States are taking down the Swiss right now, so I'd imagine all of Canada's game times have been 6:30. I think.
Yeah, I checked TSN. I just don't know about the time change. On tsn.ca it says 6:30, but I wasn't sure if that was Eastern or CST, so I always getting confused by time changes. So Czechia is the opponent this evening. Canada finishing third.
You checked.
What's that?
Yeah. Sorry, we're delaying here. You checked it on your phone, I take it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's 6:30. It's good. So Czechia is the opponent.
Yes. Tell us about these guys. How the hell did they finish ahead of Canada?
Well, they didn't. They're in the other pool. This is a crossover.
Oh, they finished second in the other pool.
They finished second in the other pool.
That makes sense.
You saying Canada's in third, you're doing it a bit of disservice. They're actually in sixth.
I could have been meaner. I don't want to be mean.
You could have. You would have been paying attention more. They're. I mean, if they would have found a way to beat the States, they would have been in first. But yeah, as far as record goes, I think it was Sweden. Czechia might have been a true 2, or maybe the U.S. was 2, then Czechia. And yeah, then you have the Finns that were ahead. Anyway, so yeah, Canada's like 5th or 6th.
Boy, oh boy.
So they're doing the crossover game versus Czechia. And they got some good players. They have some some real talent on that team, and they fill their lanes, and they don't overcommit. They don't make a ton of mistakes. So it'll be an interesting 5-on-5 game. It's going to come down to special teams again. So if Canada takes penalties, there's a risk that they could lose this game. If they keep throwing out that PP1,
You don't like
they're
that
going to lose
PP1.
the game. They need to make a switch. Cameron was heard that it's too short of a tournament. He said this on an interview. It was probably on TSN. That it's too short of a tournament to change things up drastically. So he might insert one player and remove one player, but he's not doing a drastic change to their game plan. And I respect that to a certain extent, but I think he's being very short-sighted. And we'll see. He could just be being coy with the media, and he doesn't want to show up a young star as well and do anything like that. And he might, the changes might be more obvious when the game starts, but he's not going to tell anybody. He's not going to show his cards, but he's got to do something for sure. I mean, I think, what have they played? 4 games. Cowan's their leading scorer with 3 points.
Is he still in your doghouse? You were really upset with him.
Oh, I know. That's what I'm talking about. He's the guy that needs to be changed. The mistakes that he makes are so frustrating to watch. He's a good player. There's people that go on one side and say that he's no good and shouldn't have been on the team. Or there's people like, oh, he's your leading scorer. How can't you play him? He's like, well, if your leading scorer is 3 points and he's getting played the most, that's a problem. In a 4-game series against like Latvia, I think the Blades would beat Latvia. I think the Blades could beat Kazakhstan. They could beat Germany. I mean, all these teams, just a regular WHL team with their younger 4th line players and their kind of grinder 3rd line players, and then their mix of stars in their first 2 lines. I mean, that's what those teams are. So you have what's supposed to be the best team of young players across the nation, which is impossible to make. And there's always going to be mistakes that they make assembling a team, or there's going to be debates to be had. But ultimately, this team should roll those teams. And I don't mean like rolling in a sense where it's 10-0, but that you're winning every period, every 5-minute chunk of the game. You might lose 1 or 2 of those over the course, but over the course of a game, you're winning every battle, or you're winning every period at least. So a 5-1, 6-1 score should be expected against those teams, but it's not happening. So anyway, with Czechia, it's going to come down to special teams. So if Canada's disciplined, they keep it around 4 penalties in the game, and I think they can pull this one out for sure. And then we'll just see what comes in the future.
Yeah, you are very worried about Sweden. I know that. And we won't look past this game because I feel like this team has taught us, don't look past until the one in front of you is complete here.
They'll be done. Yeah, if they look ahead, they'll be toast. They no business doing that. Czechia is good though. They're a top 5 nation, or top 6, or whatever. We can pretend that Russia doesn't exist, I guess, but Czechia's up there, and they have the talent, and they have some players that are, I think, playing in the AHL. Like, they're playing pro. They're playing pro in Europe. They're good players. They know how to get it done. So it'll be a tough game for sure.
Yeah, man, that just made me. There's a bunch of things I want to get to. Do not let me forget to touch on the Blades with that trade with Lazowski today. They had a big trade that sort of decided which way they're going to go in their chase for Mem this year. And I don't know too many details about it, but we can get to that in a little bit. I want to know. What's that?
Tell me about it. I haven't looked.
Well, my man Croker posted something about how much he loves him, and Lazowski actually went on Croker's podcast, and he's like a really good dude. He's really sad, but it's sort of like the white flag. We're gonna not. Well, obviously you're still gonna go for a Memorial Cup, but they're gonna start shipping off some of the key guys and start a little bit of a rebuild. We're not sure how that's all gonna go. Then the Spangler Cup as well. Like, what's that?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, the Spangler Cup. Like, does anyone care about the Spangler Cup at all? I know we're going all over the place, but I saw Canada lost again in the Spangler Cup. They haven't won one since 2019. Like, what's the comparison between the Spangler and the World Juniors?
Well, so the Spangler Cup, you'll get some guys that are free agents like Sam Gagne that um, they're not playing for anyone right now. They're just on the national roster. That used to be a bigger thing. Nat Domicelli comes to mind that
Yeah.
played in the NHL for a little bit. Then he went to Europe, and then there's a period of time where he wasn't even on a team. He just was playing for the national team, and whatever tournaments they'd go to, he would go and represent. My cousin, Devin Edgerton,
Shout out.
he played for Canada when he was playing. I forget what year it was, 96, 7, whatever. He got to play there. But the way he had explained it to us and way his dad, Brad, when we would talk about it, would explain is like there's a layover in the European leagues, and you have all these players that either decide to travel all the way home for the holidays or they don't. And I don't know what year it was, but the Spangler Cup wanted to add another team, and there's some Canadians that put Team Canada together. They submitted a roster because there's enough Canadians playing in Europe to do it. So it's become a tradition that they enter a team. It's okay strong. It's not crazy. I mean, Lyndon Vay from Waka, Saskatchewan.
Hell yeah.
And what these other teams will do is if they have injuries, just like in European soccer, they'll put players on loan. So they'll be able to pick up players. So it's not just their team. The team that won, I think, is 6th place in their league, but they added a few key pieces and they had a good week. So the Spangler Cup's awesome, but yeah, I mean, Canada lost. You don't expect to win that one every year, but it's just a cool experience. The arena's super awesome. It's one of the most beautiful places in the world. In Davos, it'd be like as if Banff or Canmore or something had a unreal arena with amazing backdrops and amazing community, and you could probably create something pretty special. So it's just a cool tournament over the break. But I
knew you'd be able to explain that. No, I appreciate that. So I always wondered. I always get it mixed up with the World Hockey Championships that go on with all the players that don't make the playoffs. And that was the one I was thinking. This was the one that a best friend of the show, the great Mikey Garnett, former Blades goaltender, former rookie shutout holder in the NHL when he was with the Thrashers, and all this other really cool stuff. He was the third goalie for that World Hockey Champ. So he was over there with all the pros doing all the cool stuff. And I always got that one mixed up with the Spanglers. So we'll get into that one in a couple months when we get into that. I want to know from you, Coach, as we continue here on your show, hanging out with Coach Comatu on a Thursday. What happened with this Team Canada at the World Juniors, as in building it? Because I've read a lot of weird stuff, because the chirps come out once you start losing. And I read a bunch of things about how Team Canada at the World Juniors left four players that were potential top 10 picks in the NHL draft at home, and instead went with building a team. As in, don't take the best players, take the guys that'll best work as a team. So line 1 guys, line 2 guys, line 3 guys, and so forth and so on. Is that true? Did they leave a bunch of guys back home that should be, well, I guess it's in Canada, but out there instead of being on the ice?
It's every year. I mean, if you go back to when Taylor Hall and Tyler Seguin were top players, Seguin didn't make the team, but Hall did. But it's the same thing with Lazowski. If he just got traded, he's a 20-year-old, right? Yeah. You assume that a 20-year-old, even like it seems crazy, but you take, maybe with the exception of Gavin McKenna or Schaefer or Hagens or all these guys that are being drafted this year or the following year. But even McKenna, there's qualities to Lazowski's game that are stronger than Gavin McKenna's. Gavin's a great player, but Lazowski's 20, McKenna's 17. So I'm just using Lazowski as an example.
Yeah, of course.
He's 20 years old. So there's players you could take 18 and 17-year-olds, but this is not the U19 championships. This is the world under 20. So just by growth, size, physical development, you're going to probably lean into those 19-year-old players. And the reason that 19-year-old players are available, because they weren't top 10 picks, or they weren't top 20 picks that are maybe playing in the NHL. Like Bedard could play, and he's having a terrible enough year or a struggle right now where a break from playing against men might do him a favor. Obviously, there's no chance in the world that he'd get released to this tournament, but just put it in perspective, that guy could still be playing in the tournament. So there's just a physicality. So I dump on Easton Cowan, but he's a huge player. He's a great skater. He's really good with the puck. He just maybe isn't a go-to guy. Like I don't think he'll be a go-to guy in the NHL. They're asking him to do something, and it just maybe he is in the Ontario League. I'm not sure. It looks like he's got some good players to play with, but yeah, Canada every year there's going to be a debate on who to take, but usually you're going to fill the roster with 19-year-olds. So
Yeah, I feel like it's been a couple years in a row now where this mighty Team Canada that we've come to know and love at the World Juniors just doesn't show up. Like the guys they put out there, you always check, okay, who are the guys from Saskatoon? Who are the guys from Saskatchewan? Who are the guys from the Blades? And you find the guys that you know and all that. And then you get all the big names. And I just feel like there hasn't been, like you said, a Bedard type situation where they have these superstars that really go in since probably Bedard.
yeah, and you can't have Bedard every year. They had Celebrini was there last year.
Yeah.
So it's going two ways. There's years that Canada have won when they've done what they've done so far, where they've been upset in, and this is any tournament that has a round format, and then you eliminate the worst two teams out of both pools, and then you do a crossover with the other pool, and it's a quarterfinal to the end. So Canada wins today, they win again, they're champs, and they didn't make a mistake at all. For last year, I forget where they were ranked, but I think they were first, were they not? And it was an upset in the game. So I mean,
like that, yeah.
You get no reward by finishing first. Like Sweden almost lost to Latvia just now. They won 3-2. I think it was 3-2 versus Latvia. So what would we be saying right now? My theory that Sweden's going to walk away with this thing, and then Latvia beats them.
Great point.
So it means it's hard to say. You do the round robin in your pool. You get these first to four rankings. You cross over, and then if you lose that first game, it's a disappointment. So it's got to be taken with a grain of salt. You got to appreciate that the game is getting better. There's more competition. Just hopefully we don't come to tears like England does with soccer and football, where their U20 team has been terrible. I think they've won recently now, but there's years where England was supposed to be the top nation and they just couldn't find a way to win, and they were thinking it was a problem, but it's just the most popular sport in the world to play. So with hockey, it's growing. It's good. It's good that there's not just 6 nations anymore. There's maybe 8, and then there's another 8 after that trade spots and play in the tournament. And yeah, they get stomped, but or they don't get stomped. They don't win. Like Kazakhstan's going to be relegated again. Yet they had an okay showing against some teams. Germany didn't look like they had any business doing it, but they showed that they're still stronger. So I don't think you can't get disappointed. Sweden almost lost in the quarterfinals, and what would that have said? And they're the strong. So.
Yeah, and I guess looking back, like last year, maybe it's just still a dirty taste in my mouth. I think they finished like 5th or something after losing out in the quarters, wasn't it? Something bad.
Well, yeah, because they're ranked, I think, 2nd or whatever they were, and then they lose that quarterfinal game against the 3rd place team. So then they drop down, and you get 5th. That's just how it works. If you're in a group of 8 and you lose the first round, you won't be top 4.
I guess my biggest problem, and I'm sort of realizing this as you're talking, and I'm going through these things. Like most normal people who just in passing, it's like, oh, the World Juniors are on, I'll watch it. I think most people expect the best players possible to be there representing your country at the World Juniors. And we don't think about, if you count all the guys that are currently eligible to be in this tournament, but instead they're helping their NHL teams now, it's a whole different story. Like when the lockout, that last lockout was when we had an NHL roster playing at the World Juniors. Like some call it the best World Juniors team of all time because they had nowhere else to play. So like, we'll go play World Juniors. And that's when you had Getzlaff and you had all these guys and the goaltending. And the goaltending is another thing. Everyone said, oh, goaltending might be a question this year. All of a sudden, this George kid is lights out. Like, you're right. You just never know what's happening.
I don't want to throw shade on that. The last year that NHL players were able to show up was Nuge got his chance because he was a 18-year-old. And what was that in the NHL? Was that another lockout or was that?
Yeah, I think so. Was that like 13 or something like that? 12 or 13?
One where they were ridiculous with Getzlaff and Richards and Jeff Carter. And
yeah, that's the team we're talking about. Their defensive core was like an NHL all-star defense. It was crazy.
Yeah, Weber on there is crazy. But that Nuge one that I thought you were going to, they ended up losing as well. They didn't win, and they struggled to score. So anything can happen, even if you have the best players in the world. The parity, it's not thin. It's still there's still no reason why Canada's not like that. They lost to Latvia, but that's one game. But there's a little bit of parity there where, I mean, these players are good enough to play a system, and if they follow the system, they can steal a game if they get some good goaltending. The one hilarious stat is Canada's played 4 games. Guess how many player of the games for the opposition have been goalies?
Oh, well, it's got to be something silly. So like 0?
4. So every game that Canada's played, the opposition's player of the game has been goalie. So when they won 4-0 for Finland, the player of the game was the goalie for Finland. They lost to Latvia, player of the game, the goalie. They played against the States, player of the game was the goalie. And who else am I forgetting? Germany, the player of the game was the goalie. So it's like, they find a way to get 30, 40, 50 shots on net, and they're not bearing these chances. So are they making goalies look good, or are the goalies just rising to the occasion because they're playing against the best nation in the world, and this is what they've prepared for? This is their gold medal game, and the goalies that they faced have been unreal. You put a 6'3", 6'4" goalie in net, and there's not a lot of room to shoot. You got to be precise. You got to capitalize. You got to get some lateral movement and get some backdoor action with some goals. And Canada's been very, I guess the States, was the most impressive they looked offensively, and they had a ton of chances. They didn't go in. The other games are a little bit too much on the perimeter and weren't attacking as much as they needed. But they're coming on strong. Their offense is good. The players are saying the right things. They're talking about how good they've been 5-on-5, and they just have to clean up the mess, and they'll get her done. So yeah. I'm looking forward to the game. I think they win this game, and then we'll just see who they play in the semis. We won't even look ahead, though I think we know who it is, but it doesn't matter.
And you literally got me quite worried about this whole penalty kill unit that Canada's putting out, and the power play unit. Like you said, you'd rather have the PP2 out there instead of the PP1. What's going on with all of these penalty kills? Like, why are they so good 5-on-5, and then when you go a man down, it just, everyone goes, and they can't figure it out?
No, they've been pretty good on the PK to begin with, except, I mean, if you take 7 or 8 penalties, like you're shorthanded that many times, eventually, especially the States, they're going to start finding a groove and bearing chances. So they were good to begin with, but they just kept taking undisciplined penalties. And you want guys, coaches will say things like, it's easier to pull a player back off the edge, like a player that plays on the edge, it's easier to pull them back than try and get a unmotivated player to that edge to play with aggression. So you want these guys that play with grit and play on the line, and they're rough and tumble. So it's not a bad thing. It's just you expect them to be a little bit more disciplined, especially a few of their leaders that are going out throwing extra, like punches to head or getting elbows high or finishing high through the head. You don't need to send a message like that. You've already laid your check. You've already taken the body. There's no reason for that extra stuff. you don't need to get in the opposition's grill. You're already the favorite. You know what I mean? You don't need to get under their skin. If you're the underdog, you want to get under that team's skin. The only way you can pull them down is if you get under their skin and they don't focus on their game. Canada's the best team on the ice. They don't need to be doing that. Finish your checks, stand some guys up, get in their way, heavy sticks on stick, puck on stick, push them to the wall, finish everything, but you don't need to do the extra stuff, right? So if they clean that up, they'll be fine. But it's been tough to watch with some undisciplined stuff. So I don't even think the PK is bad. I mean, by saying that, you got Mollendijk out there, you have Jaeger out there, Bonk's out there. I'd rather Caden Price being out there a little bit more, but they're doing well, and their power play's not awful. They shook it up as well. So they just are hell bent, or Cameron's hell bent on having Bonk and Cowan out there for whatever reason. When their second unit gets 25 seconds and they get the same amount of shots on net. So just maybe now is the time to let that second unit give it a go, or even the third. All these players are good.
I wonder if there's any like sort of fear of being wrong, or some sort of ego motivating that, because I'm like you, man. What you tried isn't working right now with your first power play unit. Why wouldn't you give the other unit a try when they're doing far better? And if people can see that, how can they not see that? And I feel like it's one of those things where I'm right, you're wrong. Don't tell me how to coach. I'm going to do it my way.
Well, because conversely, he's not a stupid man, and they know
Obviously.
that the round robin means nothing as long as you don't finish last in your pool. Canada finished third out of fifth. They have just as much chance to go win this thing as anyone else. So if you stay the course, he thinks, if he believes in his group, eventually it'll start to work if you just stay the course. And usually that's like everything, Gary. Like maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Cameron's right. He's the head coach. I'm just the coach too. I'm the second coach on a network, you know what I mean? A media network group. I'm not even the first coach, you know what I mean? And I might be the third, because Coach Network is maybe the biggest coach of them all. So I'm like the third coach on a network of 8 people that doesn't have a huge following. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We're growing, which is a great thing. But put it this way, Gary, there's a fly in my house. And it's just a tiny fly, and I get worried that they're going to fly up my nose or into my ears, and they're going to plant
little fly bug eggs,
baby eggs, and then they're going to grow a colony inside my body, and then I'll start acting a little bit differently when you see me, and I won't know why. You won't know why I'm that way, but it's because I have a colony of bugs in me. Anyway, you stayed the course with your network, right? You've set out with a plan, for better, for worse, and you're growing. It's starting to work. You're starting to see all the positives that come with a great idea that just takes time. So maybe Cameron's got it figured out. Maybe his setup is good. Maybe Bumper Bonk is going to bury a couple. Maybe Cowan off the half wall. He's gonna make some good feeds. Maybe they're gonna cycle the puck a little bit more. They've been unreal 5-on-5, so that plan hasn't been the problem. Maybe the power play will click, and you just stay the course. And maybe there's something to learn from that. All they got to do is win the game, and then the rest will be forgotten.
Just win, baby. I'm gonna look up here real quick and see who Lizzo got traded for here. The Zowski trade Blades, because like you were saying, oh, here it is. Hey, this is cool. We can do, I've always wanted to do this. We can credit our source. This is from 650 CKOM. I hear they got a lot of great people there.
Hey.
Blades trade Brendan Lazowski for Tanner Scott and 2 draft picks.
No, you got to get detailed oriented. How old is Tanner Scott?
It doesn't say.
Well, then.
But I can tell you the picks. The Blades picked up, oh, it does say right after. 20-year-old forward, Tanner Scott. And so second round draft picks in both 25 and 26 from the Victoria Royals. The Victoria Royals is where he would be going.
But you might get a motivated Tanner Scott, because here's the deal. Lazowski is 20. They traded a 20 for a 20-year-old. You often have to do that, or you got to release that 20-year-old, because you can only have the 3 on the roster. So that's common. So it was a trade for picks. So the Blades had the stronger 20-year-old, but Tanner Scott, it's not like he'll be a slouch.
Yeah.
They're just making a calculated move to get better. They're willing to give up the picks, so that's great for the Blades. The that Tanner Scott might come in just
Guns a blazing.
really like, why is like the difference between their talent might be marginally. We're talking 4, 5, 6, who knows what, right? Like it might be so small that it's still worth the risk for that team trading for him, but it could be a great thing for the Blades where they get picks and then they can keep rolling along. I have no idea who this Tanner Scott is, by the way.
I guess we'll find out. We can do some research. I will tell you one thing, and I'm going to leave you with this as we get set to wrap it up here. I know for a fact that Tanners in hockey are very good hockey players. There's a dude named Sonar, we call him. Tanner played for the Flamingos. He's a crusher, one of the greatest human beings I've ever met in my life. And that dude can skate. He can play hockey. So if this Tanner is anything like that Tanner, the Blades are in very good shape.
For his age group, probably top 15 kids coming out of Moose Jaw that were born in 84.
Hell yeah. And another one of those special bonds that was formed in the dressing room, the sacred halls of the dressing room, when he came back from Mexico one time and he had a tan, he had a shorts tan, and we were in the shower. I was like, hey, sick tan, bro, and instantly best friends. The magic of the shower in the changing room at your rec sports. It never stops giving, eh? Beautiful thing.
That was interesting, actually. More sad news, like you're right, if the Blades trade Lazowski, their 20-year-old, you got to think Molendyk, if they find a suitor for him, he might be going as well.
I touch on that, especially if he shows up tonight here again, eh?
Lights it up. But if you get 3 picks for him and then you get a decent player, I always like trying to bring a kid that's local back in my armchair GM life that I live. Yeah. So it's like if they go and make a trade and they bring a kid that's from Saskatoon, that's maybe a 16 or 17-year-old kid, they bring that back or get something back to work with, to build with, that's local. That's always fun to me. But yeah, that's too bad for the Blades, but they have to. They went for it the past couple of years, and they don't want to be bad for the next 10 years. So you got to be calculated with this, and you never know. We might still be pleasantly surprised that they can go get things done. So
hell yeah, dude. Enjoy the game. Go Canada, go.
Devin Huber on here.
Yeah, I was gonna drop his name as well. We might have to call in another expert. We could have a little Blades roundtable with him and Croker and you and I, and really dig into what this whole next step is going to look like for our beloved Blades.
I'm sinking more and more into this couch, getting ready to watch.
That's what it is. You're good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Coach Comatoo. I love you, buddy. Enjoy the game. Didn't know you could get sinking couches. Hey, that's pretty impressive. As we continue here on the Thursday edition of your show, if you want to be a part of this, you sitting there, you're watching this, and you're thinking like, man, it looks like they're having a lot of fun there. I would love to do what that guy's doing. I would love to do what those guys and gals are doing over there at the Dufferin Ave Media Network. It's real easy, okay? You got a business you want to put a spotlight on, we got something for you. You got an organization that's doing really good things. We want to help support you. We want to give you this stage and help get the good word out. It's real easy. Send us an email at contact@dufferinav.com, or you can take the contact and the @ off of that, and you'll end up at our website, which is dufferinav.com. Incredibly built by the so-talented Royal Anders, the king of building websites and so much more, the overlays and all the cool stuff, all these things that you see when we're hanging out in here and around this little border, like this thing, and it goes down and it goes around. That's like the overlay border. On New Year's, we had the New Year's one. On Christmas, we had the wreath set up. He sets up all those things. He creates them, and he's so unbelievably, incredibly good at it. And we always appreciate our sweet Royal Anders. All right, buddy. What do you think, Phenom? Should we get Frankie woken up and get him to tickle the ivories so we can get out of here and go watch some hockey? I think that's a yes. See, Phenom, even though he's just a hand, he does speak, right, buddy? He speaks in different ways. Yeah, there. See, there he is. Yeah, I like to see her like that Bumblebee guy from the Transformers. He like talks through his radio. Basically what he does. Very cool. I know. Nobody knew it was Thursday today. I didn't know it was Thursday. So you will be forgiven for also not knowing that it is Thursday. That does mean that tomorrow will be Friday. So we'll have a little Friday roundtable for you to enjoy. To Coach Mazer for stopping by and doing his thing. That's why I always say he's one of the most incredibly gifted thinkers that I've ever met. You can look at something, you can say, oh yeah, that's this. And then he can be like, what about this, 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 and this? And see behind all this stuff. I've always admired him so much for that. And many other abilities. The guy's just unbelievably talented at so many things, including breaking down a hockey game for you tonight. So 6:30 puck drop, Canada versus Czechia on TSN. Winning, you keep going. Losing, you go home. As the quarterfinals tend to be that way. As well, a big thank you to my friend Benji there again, co-host of the Water Sliding Bros. As we talked about our buddy Callum's GoFundMe page. You can check the descriptions. Phenom told me that the link will be in the describes there, so you can just click on that and help out if you can in any way. And we look very forward to getting that out and helping him continue to make his way out of there and into this studio, under this show, and becoming, again, a part of this family, because we miss him, and we want him in here. He's such a beautiful, beautiful man. So that's it for today. Back tomorrow, 4 p.m. It's going to be Friday. Remember that? So we're going to celebrate accordingly. And until that time, be sure to enjoy your evening, to stay out of trouble, and try as hard as you can to do good things. All right? We say it all the time here. It's how we always end this show. Do good things, and they'll start happening to you. All right? Karma is very, very real. And once you notice that, once you get a taste of it, you just keep doing it. You keep wanting more. Do for others what you would love to be done for you. There's a million ways to say it. The point is, we got this, all right? It's 2025, second day in. It's going to be a long journey, but we're so happy to be here with you to make sure we all take a couple seconds to enjoy the ride, as they say, all right? So you take care. Have a great night. Enjoy the hockey, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. God, I love you.